Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Spurs Premier League preview. Joining me, as always, is my good friend Joe Smith. Joe, it's that time again.
Does it get bigger than this?
It doesn't get worse than it is at the moment, and it may not get bigger than this for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because we know he's under more pressure than probably he's ever been under, to the point where you actually wonder if, no matter what, can he actually save his job long term. It does feel like this is the beginning of the end. We're going to get into all that as well. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about the Spurs game. We'll start with this. We'll start with the sort of the form that United are in, and how much pressure that has added to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've not won since West Ham away.
Which was the middle of September.
Yeah, which was, obviously, 5 games ago. During that time as well, we've had some, lost to West Ham in the League Cup, of course, but I'm just focusing on the Premier League game. We've lost to Aston Villa, we've drawn, you can see it on the graphic there, we've drawn with Everton, we've lost to Leicester, and, of course, that result that shall not be named. Do you feel Ole can save his job long term if he turns this around, or is he just sort of delaying the inevitable?
I think it's possible that he saves his job.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go on an incredible run, stay in the Champions League, keep winning, if we win the Champions League, I think he'll get the time to see us do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will happen. Right. I think we're at a point where some of these performances are worse than just, Ole's a bit, clueless, because he hasn't got worse since last year. He hasn't forgotten how to teach players to do things. What we're seeing seemingly now, and what I originally put down to bad form, seems to me like the players, or some of the players, or enough of the players, have decided that this isn't working. Because you hear the things come out in the press, you hear that certain players are willing to talk to journalists, and leaks coming out and stories, and this person said this about Maguire, and this person wants to leave in January, and this person doesn't like where they're being played, and this person said that we don't know how to press. Ole's not a worse manager than he was last season, and we won a lot of games last season. So the fact that we can't win anything at the moment, we're just conceding chance after chance after chance, that's a lack of effort and application to me. And that is more damning almost than, he's slightly tactically naive, because I think there's managers who have won the league who are tactically naive, but not in recent years, firstly. And secondly, when the players give up, you're done. Yeah. And it seems as though they have, and I think that's the thing that's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to overcome for Ole.
I always hate, I do mean you do a lot of videos together, and I always hate that sort of passion argument. Yeah. But there's a time and a place where it comes into it, and when it is about effort and it is about trying your hardest, and you do have to question the sort of the application of some of these players, because for the recent game against the Scousers, after each goal, I was watching the players. Yeah. And there was no arguing, there was no fight, there was no even discussion. Yeah. After every single goal, no one was saying, why aren't you doing that? Why didn't you come on, we need to do this. Yes, Ronaldo did his thing with his fingers, and Fred, ironically, was one of the only ones who said anything. But other than that, it was nothing. No. And it seemed like the fight or the effort had gone. And I don't like saying that about players, but you can only call it as you see it, and it was unacceptable. It really was. And you have to wonder whether that is players just down in tools for him, or not believing in what he's doing, or are they all collectively knackered, which is a difficult argument to make.
I think there's maybe a case of, like, you see it in all walks of life. People go, what's the point then? Or what's the point? Like, we're 3-0 down, what's the point? Yeah. Like, we're not good enough to beat these. We just conceded 4 to Leicester, who are nowhere near as good as these. First few minutes we came out literally 2 or 3 minutes, we came out flying, pressing them, getting the ball back in the final third, give it to Bruno, 10 yards out, skies it over. Now, missing one chance doesn't lead to that, but I think they started with a passion. They started with this sort of flurry of pressing and stuff. It felt disjointed. It felt like it wasn't coordinated properly. And then as soon as the things went wrong, things went badly, we conceded, we kept conceding. That's when it felt like people were like, we sort of knew this would happen. We didn't manage to sort of upset Liverpool. We didn't manage to get that early goal. We didn't manage to do any of that. So we're going to lose anyway. Oh, well. Yeah. That's how it felt a little bit.
Oh, well. Yeah. Is the operative word or words there. I think that was the attitude that I seem to be getting from a lot of the players. In terms of, like, players, we're going to get to Predict 11. We're going to talk about a lot of players later on. But one who's been in the headlines a lot over the last couple of days is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been talking about him, whether he's happy or not. Now, the recent reports are that he's actually rallying the troops and he's saying, get behind Ole. You know, he's the right man for the job or whatever. Ronaldo as well, you'd expect him to have that attitude of this is Manchester United. He left the club that was winning, titles and challenging for Champions Leagues and winning Champions League and has come back to this. You can see from his stats there, it's not been terrible by any stretch of the imagination for him in the Premier League in terms of 3 goals in 6 games is okay. Mm-hmm. But there has been question marks, haven't there, of whether his signing has actually upset the apple cart and whether this is a problem because you've basically got a player in there who almost feels no matter what you can't really drop. I know he dropped him for the Everton game, but he brought him on for me too early as well.
Yeah.
But where do you stand on the Ronaldo issue? Do you think do you think we are lucky to have him, or do you think there is an issue there?
I don't think we're lucky to have him because he's Manchester United Football Club is bigger than Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, when you look at international, some of the trophies he's won more than United has, but as an institution and a history and no one's bigger than Manchester United, as the cliche goes. Yeah. But it's true. I do think though we are getting what we expected out of him, so I don't think we can be too shocked. He's come in. We all know he's 36. He doesn't run about like he used to, and even then he didn't used to run about that much. If we remember, he was never, tracking back all the time, playing as a second left back when he was playing on the left wing 10 years ago. But he's doing what we knew he'd do, and then people are surprised and shocked. And Ole for one seems to not be able to work it out. Some of the fans and I've criticised sometimes his application in games, and I think that's fine to criticise it because you say, well, whoever's playing up front needs to do a bit more. But at the same time, we've never sat here and gone, can't believe this, can't believe. They used to be all industrious like Tevez. He's never been like that.
No.
So maybe I think that one problem that we are seeing is he's basically said, you can't drop me.
Yeah.
Because that is a concern, because sometimes you don't need someone that stands up front and does nothing unless they're tapping the ball in the back of the net. Sometimes, and most of the time, that's great, because he'll get you a goal in most games. And usually, that's more than enough to make up for it. But I think we need the possibility of dropping him.
Yeah.
The fact that we just know he's playing no matter what. I don't have a problem with Ronaldo at all. I'm happy he's at the club, and I think he's a massive net positive for the team. But the people who are surprised by him not doing much, that's what I don't get. And if Ole's surprised by that and we can't work around that, that's a big problem. How can you not know what you're getting with Cristiano Ronaldo? We haven't been sold one thing and given another. We've been given a lethal striker that has great positioning and doesn't do much more than that. But we knew that.
100%, and that's what we've got. Like you said there, Ronaldo for me, I agree with it. It's not really the issue, but there are players that are an issue.
Yeah.
And if you look at the form of some of our players this season, I think of Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay in particular. I would say this is their worst season in a United shirt. Yeah. And I would say season. I don't even think it's 1 or 2 games. I think this season, those 3 players, and I like all those 3 players, but the 3 I've just mentioned in particular, because you can point at 1 or 2 others as well, have been poor.
Yeah.
And that is a real concern because, as you mentioned, we won a lot of football matches last season. We finished second, and we finished second with the 3 players I've mentioned playing pretty much every game. Mm-hmm. Now, when you've got 3 players in your team that you rely on who are, just not good enough at the minute, and when I say at the minute, I mean this entire season, what do you do with that? We'll get to predicted 11s in a minute, but what does Ole do with that? Do you think he rings around wholesale changes, or do you think he just has to sit him down and go, what's going on?
I mean, Maguire's captain, so that puts a blocker in front of him being dropped.
Yeah.
Also, the other blocker is, the next option is Eric Bailly, who's played, a dozen games in the last 2 years. Tellez, people have convinced themselves and tricked themselves into thinking he was good against Villarreal because he scored a goal, but he was skinned multiple times, out of position multiple times, had a poor game against Villarreal by pretty much anyone's measure, except now you go, Ole's a coward because he didn't play him. That's not true. But maybe he's better than Luke Shaw at the moment. The thing with Luke Shaw and Maguire, their bad performances, whether we like it or not, are linked because they play next to each other.
Yeah.
We talk about centre-back partnerships all the time, but that, especially for the way we play, all of our play goes down the left-hand side. The link between Maguire and Shaw is unavoidable. And I personally think of the 2, Shaw has been more worrying. He doesn't seem willing to drop back. I think Maguire's been terrible, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Shaw doesn't seem willing to come back. When he does, he's well out of position. You look at those Liverpool goals, you can blame Maguire for most of them, but if you look at Shaw, like the one where they run into each other, I understand it looks dopey from Maguire. Why is Shaw there? Why is Shaw? You've got to clear the ball. You're the one who's looking at it. Yeah. The ball's coming across. Maguire's facing the other way. You've got to. He has to run away from the ball to get it, or it's coming over his shoulder. Shaw's looking at it. It's coming to him. Why are you running into each other?
Yeah.
Make the call or drop off. And the amount of times that Salah's just left by himself for the fourth goal, for his first goal, for his every goal, he's by himself. Luke Shaw hasn't blocked hardly any crosses this season.
And also, I remember I think me and you did the watch-along for Young Boys.
Yeah.
And you were raging at Shaw's position for their goal, for their first goal.
He's up on the halfway line.
It's not been just recently, has it? This is the earlier doors in the season, earlier in the season. And you were like, what is he doing? Why is he not cutting out that cross?
And we've heard he's come out and said, I've been injured, so maybe he shouldn't be playing. Maybe he can put that on Ole. Maybe Maguire's also playing shit, so that's probably made Shaw play a bit worse. It's like they're dragging each other down at the moment. But like Shaw is as bad as he's been for United, let alone as in comparison to where he was last season. And in the Euros, those two, two of the best 5 players in the whole tournament, Shaw and Maguire.
That adds to
That's 3 months ago.
Almost the annoyance, doesn't it? Because they've been so good for England, which most United fans don't really care that much about.
No, but look at recent form of these players.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. You look at it and you go, they're meant for England, which I'm not really that bothered about, and they've come back to United, which I care about, and they've not shown any of that form. No. Which is incredible. And also, they've been good for England against good players. Yeah. Not just against, poor players, but against some good ones as well. With all that being said, we'll get to the predicted 11s. Talk us through. This is the team you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to pick. So show us your team and explain the rationale behind it.
I think we're going to see some changes. Yeah. Not radical wholesale changes because, he's still trying to pick his best team. But De Gea, I think, keeps his place. He's been excellent this season. Wan-Bissaka, again, I was knocking Tellers' performance, but Dalot almost overshadowed it by being skinned over and over again against Villarreal. Yep. So Wan-Bissaka keeps his place. I've gone Lindelof and I have gone Maguire because, like I said, he's the captain. Ole plays him every week. I'm predicting what Ole's going to go for.
No, I think
Maguire will get picked.
I get it.
I think Shaw has got to the point where he has to be rested. Call it resting him, call it dropping him, whatever. After the few games he's put in, when you do have a somewhat adequate option, I don't think he as bad as Tellez was against Villarreal, he wasn't as bad as Luke Shaw's been this season. No. Or he wasn't any worse.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can keep rewarding performances of that quality with starting him. So I've gone with Tellez on the left. Then Pogba obviously got the red card against Liverpool, so I've gone with Matic and Fred. Again, like you said about McTominay, he's been poor. I don't think he was that bad against Liverpool, but he's just done nothing.
I mean, I disagree. It's like I actually thought Fred out of the two of them was the better one.
Yeah, well, I agree.
I just thought McTominay. For me, I don't know whether, and I might be overthinking it. There's this sort of the rumours are, reports I should say, that we're trying to get him to become a 6.
Yeah.
And I think he might be getting confused with that, and he's losing a bit because he's more of someone who'll get after the ball, and I think he's got it in his head so much to sort of sit in front of the defence, and it's maybe making him indecisive at times.
And his position is just not good.
Yeah, and I don't know, smarter men than me can work that one out. A smarter person than me can unpick it, but he's not playing well at all.
No, and if you look at sort of McTominay's natural tendencies, he's excelled more in the kind of peripheral attacking that he's done.
Yeah.
He's got, 7 goals last season?
Yeah, something like that.
Rather
7
than
or 8 goals,
that sort of natural proclivity to drop him back. And bloody hell, he's great tackle. Like, you don't say that, but you do say he's got a shot on him, know. Like, if anything, he's going the other way as a box-to-box 8, but we don't play like that. No. So he's not playing. Then I've gone Rashford, who, I think he's been maybe our best player in the few games he's been back.
Up until the Liverpool game. I thought he did well against... He obviously came on against Leicester, did well.
Yeah, and no one did well against Liverpool. So they're all on a sort of a 0. And he's been all right otherwise. I've gone with Sancho on the right-hand side. We need to start creating more. I think Greenwood's excellent. Love Mason Greenwood, obviously. But I think Ole will see in the final third, we don't do enough. And Sancho, even though he hasn't got those assists to back it up this season, we've seen from his career... He's the best creator probably that we've got on from wide, and I've gone Jesse Lingard over Bruno Fernandes.
If you'd have said this to me 2 months ago, I'd have thought you were clinically insane.
I think
I can understand.
Because what Ole needs is he needs players first of all, that are performing when they're playing, and I don't think Bruno's been that bad, and he still gets the goals, still gets the assists, fine. I'm not dropping him because he's done what Luke Shaw's done, but you need energy. We need someone that's going to give 100%, and I know Bruno does that, but sometimes it's like I'm going to give 100% to show you lot that you aren't. It's almost like he does it for himself sometimes. And he's like running past Ronaldo, and he's sprinting over there, and he's tracking this, and he's leaving men behind him. I think sometimes he needs to be a bit more disciplined, Bruno.
Okay.
And also, he plays every game.
Yeah.
Like, he could do with the rest. This isn't me dropping him. This is, let someone else have a chance.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to play 70 games or 60 games a season, whatever it is he plays.
Yeah.
And Jesse Lingard's been good when he's played. So he's very good off the ball, Jesse Lingard. Very industrious. I think he makes up for some of Sancho's lacking in that area. And then gone with Ronaldo up front because, like we said before, he's basically talked his way into being undroppable, hasn't he?
You made a very good point the other day about Jesse Lingard. With all this sort of clamour for Donny van der Beek to come in and to be given a chance, Jesse Lingard's, other than the young boys game away, has taken his chances when he's come in. Yeah. He's looked good. He scored a couple of goals. Do you know what I mean? He put the young boys' mistake behind him and got a goal against West Ham. He's scored another goal as well. Was it against Newcastle he scored? Mm-hmm. And, he has looked a useful player, and we know he's got it in him, and he's done it for United in the past. He was one of the best players in the Premier League towards the back end of last season.
Yeah.
So, Jesse Lingard, as I said earlier, I would have thought you were crazy if you said that a few months ago. I understand where you're coming from with that one. We'll go over to my team. A little bit different. I've taken out Maguire.
Yep.
I have. I just feel that there's talk, and at the time of recording this, there's talk that Varane's been in training and might be fit. He might be, so we don't know. I've gone with him in the team. I've gone with Eric Bailly. I've gone with is that Tellez in there?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Tellez. Sorry, I thought I had. I've midfield pivot is, if you want to call it that, double pivot everyone loves to use. Matic and Fred. Again, we spoke about Fred. I think he wasn't as bad as McTominay. McTominay we've already covered. I've gone with Marcus on the left for the reasons you said. Bruno, for me, I'm of the opinion Bruno has to play. And I think Ole, for two reasons. One, I think Ole has to limit the amount of changes he makes.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do like Steve Bruce at Newcastle and do like 8 changes.
No.
Because that is the act of a desperate man.
Yeah,
and also, it's too much sometimes for a team. So, I think it's the same front four that started against Liverpool. Now, they were poor, and they've got to step up, but I think they've got the ability to step up. I think Marcus has needed game time, and it caught up with him a little bit against Liverpool, amongst other things. Bruno hasn't been at his best, but he's still very effective.
Yep.
You go back to the Atalanta game, I know that's different, it's Champions League, but pretty poor 40 minutes, 9 chances created in the next 50 minutes.
Yep.
So he's got that in him. Mason, similar to what he's done a lot of the season, was our shining light's a bit of extreme, but had moments in the Liverpool game, and actually I think from what we're hearing he was actually taken off, not because Ole thought Paul Pogba was going to turn the game around. I think Ole wanted to spare Mason Greenwood as a young player being part of an absolute debacle. So I don't know whether that's the case, but for me Mason Greenwood is always dangerous, and Ronaldo we've already discussed, he's not going anywhere. That's why I think Ole's going to go. Could be completely wrong, and it's weird because we're at that stage for probably the first time all season where you just don't know, do you? Like, no. You've always had an idea, haven't you, of the team?
And
like, one or two changes. I think there's a couple of times when we've both agreed or we've both got the same team as Ole because it almost picks itself. But now, I've not got Sancho, you have, which makes sense. You put Lingard in, which makes sense. We don't know about Varane. Is he fit or not? No. So that's an unknown. The reasons you've mentioned there with Luke Shaw. With Harry Maguire, took him out because I just feel that he's been that bad that despite the fact he's an £80 million signing, despite the fact he's the captain, he needs to come out of the team. I just feel it's one of them. And
I don't disagree with
that.
No,
I understand it. Yeah. I know Ole may get pelters, but it's past the point for me with Ole of caring about his pelters. He's just got to do what it takes to get a result.
Yeah.
Moving on to Spurs.
Get your prediction in the comments as well, because it is one of those, like, I know that we're maybe past the point of no return, but it's a make or break 11 this.
Yeah.
And it shows exactly what he expects from the team as well. I think it's an important 11 because it goes, where does Ole go when he's desperate?
Yep.
Like, who does he trust? What's gonna happen here? So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, good shout. And also you can see the email there. I think it's paddockmatchday.com.
Matchday at gmail.com.
At gmail.com, sorry. Yeah, to send in your video. I've been doing this for about 18 months. I know you think I'd know what I was doing.
Send in a little video prediction and we'll put it on the watch along.
We want to hear what you think.
Yes.
There you can see as well, Spurs' last 5 games looks a little bit better than ours, doesn't it? 3 wins there. Some decent wins as well. I mean, everyone beats Newcastle, don't they? Even we beat them, but good win over Villa, win over Burnley, and a couple losses there as well. Losing to West Ham, which, can happen to anyone, can't it?
Yeah, but you shouldn't be losing the Europa Conference League. What's it called?
We don't know, because usually that's like a game for the Rezzies, isn't it? Is this a case now? I mean, it's not a case of with United, because everyone's dangerous. But with Spurs, do you feel like it is a case a little bit of just stop Harry Kane and that's you're doing all right against him? Or do you think they have got other players that you need to be wary of?
Heung-min Son's a good player.
I was going to say Son's the one everyone is.
Heung-min Son's a good player. Harry Kane this season, was it 1 goal, 1 assist in 7 Premier League games?
That's strange for him, that, isn't it? Because I know he doesn't. He always have August off, doesn't he, in terms of goals?
Yeah,
which is just a weird.
It's literally 1 August in his whole Premier League career. He scored it.
It's what? It's weird.
But I think he's got 10 goals this season, including internationals. So he's found
not quite.
It's not as bad as it seems. I don't think he's going to get the golden boot in the league, but he's got more goals this season than any Man United player's got, although maybe excluding Ronaldo, obviously, because he's been smashing them in for Portugal as well. But you know what I mean? It's not like he's got 1 goal and
Yeah.
But he is struggling in the league, and that can become a mental thing, especially for him, where he does seem to go through runs. Like you said, why can't he score in August ever? It doesn't make sense. I think they're a weird team, Tottenham. I watched them against Arsenal, obviously, before this run. I'm not like usually that game can go either way. It's quite cagey. They were just so open. It was literally like the equivalent of United versus Liverpool.
It was, wasn't it? Because it was
so bad.
I think it was. I watched that as well, and Tony Adams, obviously ex-Gooner, was buzzing.
Was playing.
Yeah,
and he still won.
He was. Yeah, he was in midfield. Yeah. He wasn't even in defence.
No.
He was buzzing, and I think it was Graham Souness who, we have our various opinions on Graham Souness. But he was just not having it.
No.
And he was like, but they're that bad, Spurs, that this is almost like he felt it didn't count.
Yeah.
Because you were playing a team that was so bad you couldn't gauge anything from it.
Yeah.
So obviously Spurs have picked up their act a little bit since then. But we'll be hoping that the same performance they had against Arsenal is the one they have against us, and we can fix up.
Yeah. I'm obviously concerned, but we'll get to the predictions in a minute. I almost think this is the perfect team to play, Tottenham.
Yeah,
because they're big enough that we'll definitely take it seriously. You don't go into it going, fuck them about. But they're frail enough that I think we could be 2 or 3-0 up in the first 30 minutes just on sort of passion and fire alone.
I think as well, and and this isn't a criticism of the Old Trafford crowd, because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
And the crowd and the especially the TRA where I am, and the Red Army have created an atmosphere, and it's been great. But I almost think playing away might help some of the players in terms of pressure, and you also feel like you're returning to the scene of a crime going back to Old Trafford after that final. And I think it would be good for the players to get a win under the belts.
I agree.
Before again at Old Trafford, but who knows? Score predictions then. Go and hit me with it.
The thing here's how I see this going.
Yep.
I think it can go one of 2 ways.
Yeah.
We'll start off really quick. I think.
Yeah.
Just fucking self-preservation and embarrassment.
Yeah.
You have to come out fighting. Like if all of these players are more competitive than anyone you've ever met or thereabout. Do you know what I mean? One of the reasons they're professional football is not just they're good, not just they're talented, but they're willing to try hard, do things no one else are willing to do because they've got a competitive edge like you've never seen. They will come out flying. I can't see any other way around it unless they're really giving up on the manager, unless they're trying to get Ole sacked. I think in that first 30 minutes, we could get a couple of goals easy, and I think we might beat him comfortably. The other option is we come out flying, we miss a couple of chances like we did against Liverpool, they weather the storm, and then it turns into a cagey. We go, shit, we're not playing well at the minute. We're a bit nervous. Then I could see a 1-1. Then who knows, from there. I'm going to go on the optimistic side. I think opening blitz, first 30 minutes, at least 1 goal, probably a couple. Finish 3-1. I think they'll get a goal because we can't stop people scoring. But I've got a feeling it's the sort of perfect game for United. Obviously, we could still lose this. We're so frail and like Tottenham are. But I just think hopefully at some point the quality of the players, some sort of self-respect will mean that we actually have to really go for this. And those first 30 minutes I think are crucial. But 3-1.
No, I agree. And you pointed out sort of said there during that that you think you could see a 1-1.
Yeah.
And I actually think it might be something like that.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Nuno's record against us, he's actually had quite a few draws when he was at Wolves. Yeah. And he's probably got as good a squad then, if not better than he had. We've probably gone a little bit worse. You look at recent form. I feel like, although we need a win, I feel like a draw at Spurs isn't a disaster.
No.
And sometimes that can play in your mind. If it's 1-0 and you're thinking both teams will be like almost settled with that. So I just feel it might be one of those games where it's a point which doesn't do a lot for either team, but it's probably enough just to get over the loss to the Scousers a little bit. In the fact that you've not lost your next game. Very rarely do I not pick a United win, but I don't know. It's everything's a bit deflated in the minute. It's hard to be too positive. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. Give us your score predictions. You can send them in as well if you want to do a little 30-second vid, as Joe was saying earlier. With your score predictions, send it into Paddock Matchday at gmail.com. Got it right there. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Instagram and Twitter.
And I think it's me and thee in it for the watch-along.
It is.
Who's with us? Do we know?
Special guest coming.
Have we got one soon? Or do we need to get one? Oh,
either.
Oh, right.
Ideally the first one, but truthfully, we'll get one.
Right, okay. So, yeah, we'll be here for the watch-along. Make sure you're subscribing if you're not doing. Hit that subscribe button. We've got over 612,000 subscribers. We want to get to 700,000 by the end of the season. So do give us a subscribe. Go and check Joe out all over the socials. You know where to find me, Jay Moy. This has been the Stretford Paddock Spurs preview. Thanks for watching.